This episode brought to you by DoorDash, the app that brings you food you're craving right now, right to your door.
To get up this early just for cartoons?
It's not just cartoons, it's Kids WB.
Don't you mean Vortex?
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
Hey, where the hell is Critic? Isn't he supposed to be kicking this thing off?
Yeah, let's just start without him.
Hey everybody!
Is that Critic on the TV?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you all? It's a constant party here at Kids WB!
Critic, how long have you been in there?
Hours, days, maybe weeks. I don't know, I've lost track of time because there's always a party here!
You've just been partying nonstop?
That's the Kids WB life! Yeah, everyone's always jumping, screaming, throwing confetti. Thank God no productions are being filmed at this studio because they wouldn't be able to record shit over all the noise!
So you're telling us that you've been partying this entire time and it's had no effect on you?
Kill me!
What?
Kids WB all the way, man! Before every studio tried to have a streaming platform, many tried to get their own TV channel. And in 1995, Warner Brothers launched theirs. Though not always giving the highest of television quality. Well, depending on your definition of highest. WB did have a few hit shows that are still talked about today, as well as one of the world's most annoying mascots.
Everybody, the Michigan Rank!
I guess Bugs Bunny was too associated with children to be the mascot, so they went with the Looney Tune that many considered most adult at the time, Michigan J. Frog from One Froggy Evening.
Everybody wants the W, everybody likes the WB!
Not only did his literal song and dance routine get old quick, but he weirdly sung about depressing stuff. You ever actually listen to what he sings? I swear I'm not making this up.
Hello, my baby, you're in the red, you're wanted by the IRS. Your love life is in a rut. Enjoy what you got, it isn't a lot, it's certainly not money. Bills continue to pile, go bankrupt in style, just pay the electricity.
Is this a cry for help, Michigan? You gonna throw yourself at Doc Hopper soon? I think The Simpsons summed up this character best.
I need a drink.
But launched at the same time as their adult programming was their children's programming. Kids WB ran on the WB network from 1995 to 2006. They showed less of their frog mascot because, well, only adults should be that annoyed and depressed, and instead had stars from their usual programming, both animated and live action, introduce the lineup. Not gonna lie, it is a little funny seeing a future Oscar winner hype you up for cartoon animals.
If you enjoyed those commercials, then you'll really like the Bugs and Daffy show.
Let's be honest, WB was the parents' house for the cast of In Living Color to get back on their feet.
In some respects, Kids WB left an even bigger impact than their adult shows because it combined what worked on other networks like Fox Kids and combined it with some new styles and ideas, both from America and from Japan, introducing a lot of kids to their first animes.
Hey, what do you got there, a rabbit?
It's a Pokemon.
There's a ton of shows we grew up with and are ready to talk about, so let's get cracking. Because here, the party never stops!
Critic, are you sure you're okay?
Jesus, get me out of here! Nobody should party this much while just randomly turning to the camera announcing the schedule!
Well, how do we get him out?
I got an idea. Critic, read the text message that I'm sending you.
Coming up next, me on the couch. Oh, nice. Tamara, I sent you an email about not wearing the same thing as me! God damn it, now I gotta change it. Go, say the thing.
This is Kids WB!
WB!
You can call me Ed, and you can call this Kids WB.
Matthew Lawrence here to tell you you're watching Kids WB.
Please don't go. It's great having you here.
Nick Freno, da-da! And this is Kids WB.
What does the WB stand for? We're back!
He's been compared to Elvis Costello, but I think Huey has a far more bitter, cynical sense of humor.
Daffy Duck hasn't let the fact that he's a big-time movie star go to his head.
What the hell is even that?
Now keep in mind, we're not going to be able to talk about all the shows.
Just the ones we grew up with.
Or the ones that left the biggest impact.
So let's not waste any time.
I'm literally saying this just to waste time.
Let's look over the shows that we've discussed before. Okay, so I've talked to death about what I guess you could call the Spielberg-Ruegger collection, sometimes with Tom Ruegger and others who worked on the shows, so I'm gonna do a bit of a lightning round here. Animaniacs, for the most part, was the same here as it was on Fox Kids, but there was a feeling it could go a little further. A lot of kids' programming had to work in something educational, hence why you saw so many PSAs back in the day. Animaniacs was the same and worked with it beautifully, teaching information with brilliant songs, but when they didn't have an amazing songwriter from time to time, they did have to sneak in an obvious moral, despite them making fun of obvious morals with the wheel morality. Kids WB seem more relaxed with all that, allowing them to push back at forced messages, which honestly can be kind of refreshing by today's standards. I like the recent reboot fine, but their hammered-in messages clearly wanting to save the world does comically clash with the writing on Kids WB.
Why can't our elected leaders just pass laws to strengthen pollution regulations, promote renewable energy, and hold fossil fuel companies accountable?
Let's take the car. We'll have to stop and fill it up, though. That pig sucks gas like it's water.
There's plenty more we can be doing to reverse climate change, like wasting less food and water and switching to energy-efficient appliances.
I think I'm gonna go chop down a Christmas tree and put it in my house to decorate.
We've actually been significantly less naughty ever since the mysterious disappearance of Hello Nurse and Minerva May.
A handshake is how we say hello.
Would you like to see how we do it?
Good night, everybody.
I think because they were officially on the Warner Brothers network, they may have been encouraged to make fun of Disney a little bit more, as I swear more parodies popped up, but I could be wrong. Animaniacs was and still is a staple of quality. Their side characters, Pinky and the Brain, got their own series that ran for 3 years. A damn decent run for an animated spin-off. The classic Mouse and Mouse duo proved to have a lot of possibilities and introduced new plans to take over the world, as well as new characters to foil them. They were eventually given another spin-off, Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain, which, I'll be honest, isn't as bad as it sounds. It's not great, but it's better than it has any right to be. I did an episode on that too if you want to check it out. Freakazoid was the first new Spielberg show to premiere on Kids WB, and I think you could argue was the beginning of troll humor in children's cartoons. It leaned much more towards the writers just writing whatever odd jokes were on their mind and not really caring if it tied into the story or if it even had a story. The humor felt a lot more experimental, sometimes working, sometimes not, and sometimes changing with time. There's jokes that I didn't think were that funny when I first saw them, but humor evolves over the years, and when I look back, some of them actually are a little better. Again, if you want more detail, you can watch a video I did on it with the people who actually made it. Needless to say, I definitely recommend all these shows.
But what about the shows that Tom Ruegger worked on that didn't have Spielberg's name above the title?
Oh, I see, like when Spielberg erased the guns from E.T., he erased his name on the top of some of these shows?
No, I mean like Road Rovers.
That's not a show.
Stop saying words.
Oh, it's all too real, my friend. Road Rovers was very different, and undoubtedly a furry awakening for many.
Don't listen to him, my darlings. He knows not what he says.
The series follows the adventures of a team of 5 superpowered anthropomorphic dogs known as Cainosapiens. It was the next in line of the wide and varied TMNT clones ready to cash in on the popularity of anthropomorphic crime-fighting superheroes.
Hey, Ninja Turtles ripped Street Sharks off, okay?
No, Walter. No.
But they did.
We are not having this conversation again, Walter.
But it's awesome.
Except it's the 90s, so the cash-in is extreme! It was fine for what it was, with hijinks and action distracting enough for a then 6-year-old like myself.
The name is Mr. Puffy Lips, but you can call me an ambulance.
Featuring the talents of Michael Richardson, another one of my inspirations, along with Jim Cummings, Tress MacNeille, Frank Welker, Jess Harnell, and many others, this show had quite an entertaining cast. The jokes and plot had enough charm to complement the camp of its premise. The humor is very dad-based and works well for the bouncy energy one would expect from a pack of dogs.
Achtung! Who's the babe?
She's not a babe, okay? So back off.
Ooh, Tachi, Mr. Tachi.
It was insanely short-lived, only spawning 13 episodes, coming to an abrupt end due to the events surrounding a lawsuit over its idea.
When will Stunt Dog stop suing people? Don't nod, you don't know what that is.
Coming to an undisclosed conclusion, the future of the franchise remains a mystery. For what it was though, it was a fun little adventure that's grown a little bit of a following. If it ever came back in the future, you bet I'd definitely check it out to see what they've been up to.
Okay, but how about some superheroes that wear capes and aren't dogs?
You anti-K-Nites!
What? Superman the Animated Series expanded the DC Animated Universe by being the first additional show to take place in the same world as Batman the Animated Series. It was also the first time Supes got his own animated program since the self-titled cartoon from 1988.
And how was that show?
It...
Thanks for impersonating me, Dad.
Exists. Superman was significant for many reasons, including the introduction of non-Superman exclusive heroes and villains from the comics, like The Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Lobo, Darkseid, and many more. This laid the foundation for what Justice League and Justice League Unlimited became in the mid-2000s. Well-known actors like Malcolm McDowell, Gilbert Gottfried, Ed Asner, Lori Petty, and Michael Ironside all popped up to fill many of these supplementary roles across its 54-episode run. The Man of Steel was powered down for most of this show, making him more vulnerable to attacks from his enemies. He wasn't able to simply solve a problem by moving an entire planet, much less an entire city. I really appreciated that, and I think a lot of the bigger stories were better because of it.
But could he spin the Earth backwards, yet not be fast enough to catch 2 missiles?
Or kiss someone, erasing their memory?
Or not be anti-K-Nites?
Where are you getting those?
Hey, where'd Chaplin go?
Tim Daly's Superman / Clark Kent balanced his more human, genuine side with the classic truth and justice pomp and circumstance without going too cornball on his delivery.
What do you do in your off hours?
I think that's a question for another time.
I also love Clancy Brown's Lex Luthor as Kal-El's antithesis. He's right up there with Michael Rosenbaum among my favorite versions of the character. While this show was as bright and colorful as it needed to be, it got darker as it went along, with episodes like Apocalypse Now, Brave New Metropolis, and Legacy, which are some of my personal favorites, covered in a top 5 video we did a few years back.
Savor your moment of triumph, Superman. But remember, victory has its price.
True, there's like 5 intense moments that almost match the intensity of the robot scene from Superman 3. Look at the comments, man. No!
This show hasn't quite endured as much as Justice League or BTAS, but it should not be forgotten. This was a solid interpretation of The Man of Tomorrow that featured some great character work, strong stories, and surprising, yet earned, darker moments. Its impact on the world of Superman is important, and if you've never seen it, I suggest giving it a shot for a faithful and layered incarnation of the Big Blue Boy Scout.
Yes, but nobody ever thinks about if Superman was a worm.
I do.
Yeah, how is he?
He's okay.
That sums up my review. Earthworm Jim is one of the most unique game franchises ever. With its surreal humor, imaginative visuals, get out of here! And enjoyable gameplay, it's hard to find another series like it. So, when they made a cartoon series on it in 1995, everyone had the same reaction. It's good. I feel bad saying that because it gives the impression it's not worth checking out, but it is. Just don't expect something as batshit insane as the game. But, you know, still a little insane. The very loose story centers around the space traveler Earthworm Jim and puppy sidekick Peter, trying to defend the galaxy against all sorts of strange baddies. That's about all there is to it, and honestly, sometimes it doesn't even follow all the way through with that. Kinda like Freakazoid, they focus more on just throwing strange jokes at you, but the jokes are pretty funny and memorable.
I'll solve this problem with my 4 hyper-intelligent brains. I'm hungry. I'm cold. I'm itchy. Where are the girls?
While I wish Jim had more of a southern voice like they hinted he had in the game, Dan Castellaneta does a fine job playing him as an Adam West type with the voice of Genie having just eaten Homer Simpson.
Quick, little buddy! Whip me! Whip me!
I beg your pardon?
Use me like a whip! Oh,
right!
The dark edge and over-the-top animation is replaced with brighter imagery and a more restrained style, but the out-of-nowhere tone shifts and story abandonments just to do something silly does make it unpredictable. I just have to respect a kid show that quotes Dune whenever it can.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total oblivion.
I respect quotes from Frank Herbert's other works.
Like what?
Star Wars.
If you're looking for something that's not 100% Earthworm Jim, but say 60% Earthworm Jim, then check the show out. Because it's better to have 60% Earthworm Jim as opposed to 3% Earthworm Jim. Yeah, sorry, I really hate this game.
Groovy!
Thankfully, games have nothing to do with our next show. Still not a fan?
No, it's fine. Y'all just talk about while I watch the South Park episode making fun of it.
Boomer.
You're a boomer!
Literally not.
Pokemon Mania.
Should be Pokemania!
I thought you were watching South Park!
I thought you shut up!
Swept the world in the late 90s and early 2000s. It has continued to be a cultural phenomenon for decades after its initial release. Premiering in February 1999, it follows the journey of young Pokemon trainer Ash Ketchum, who leaves his home to be the very best like no one ever was.
Bow, 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 to catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause.
South Park got one of them shoe, ha ha!
Ash wants to be a Pokemon master. Pokemon are pocket monsters, creatures that can be caught and trained in battles to evolve and become stronger. In order to be a Pokemon master, Ash must first defeat gym leaders to earn their badges in order to compete in the Pokemon League tournament. Every trainer begins their journey with a starter Pokemon. Ash's choice was the adorable and iconic Pikachu. Add to the mix Ash's friends Brock and Misty and the flamboyant Jesse and James of Team Rocket to make a memorable cast of characters. The show was initially licensed through 4Kids Production, which infamously changed many cultural references and made some bizarre editing choices. I mean, who could ever forget those jelly donuts?
Have a donut. That always cheers me up.
These donuts are great. Jelly-filled are my favorite.
Liar! Liar!
However, it did give us one of the greatest theme songs ever, so pros and cons.
The power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all.
Ha! He said small penis. These writers are so young and hip.
Pokemon was extremely successful, hitting millions of viewers every week. It was the perfect combination of cute monsters, collection, and adventure that kids were looking for. Pokemon extended far beyond the show, however the anime was often kids' first exposure to the franchise. It was for me. Once the anime sunk its teeth into you, it was a fast descent into Poke madness. I collected the toys, the cards, the games, the VHSs. I had to catch them all. I even joined the Toys R Us Pokemon Trading Card Game League.
You need medicine!
This is my medicine! I'm still playing the games and introducing my love of Pokemon to the next generation of kids. Pokemon left an indelible mark on our culture and in our hearts. And just like how Ash can never really die, what was it, like 7 times he got killed off? Pokemon will continue to win all, well, most of us over.
Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon!
Okay, you can come back now.
Hey, you know what's like Pokemon, but like so much cooler, like so much better, such a better show, such a better cartoon, oh my god, it's like, so, you guys gonna be blown away, it's Men in Black.
Sure.
Yeah, because like the aliens are like Pokemon, but they're cooler and better, and it's like so much better than Pokemon, like in every way, and yeah, blow me. I don't know about you, but after I saw the movie Men in Black, pretty much all my friends were asking, so when do you think there's gonna be a cartoon show? A lot of people said Men in Black was the Ghostbusters of its time, and that had an amazing cartoon, so I figured a series for this would make sense. However, Ghostbusters was a surreal one-of-a-kind movie, which led to a surreal one-of-a-kind series. Men in Black was a smart and clever comedy, which led to, you guessed it, a smart and clever show. It didn't really push the boundaries in terms of animation or intense imagery, unless walking weird in the intro counts. But it was pretty well written and represented the source material perfectly. It follows the adventures of J and K as they track down the scum of the universe, working in its trademark odd but also cool humor. The best part is it expanded on ideas that the movies abandoned. Like Agent L doesn't decide to go back to the morgue, she stays on as a permanent character. It's pretty cool her job includes slicing up aliens to examine their insides like she did when she was a mortician. Also, I found out she was voiced by Cass from Voyager. That's just neat.
This is Jay's brain. This is Jay's brain running at 78.9% capacity. Jay's head becomes Mount St. Helens.
They even go into more character backstories. Like, remember that brief moment in the film when you see Kay handing an alien flowers? There's a whole episode dedicated to that, and it's one of the most gripping stories.
D just disappeared from the picture.
Who's D?
Your original partner.
You're the only partner I've ever had.
It's nice it didn't just go 100% for the jokes, as the film did have its dramatic moments too. It's not a series I can say did anything that new or unique, but it captured the voice of the original pretty great. Better than the second one even.
Or the fourth one.
Damn it, Malcolm, stop reminding me that exists!
Don't worry, you won't remember.
Remember what?
I don't remember.
If you're looking for a series that continues the adventures of Division 6 in a not spectacular but entertaining enough way, this just might be worth your time.
X-Men Evolution.
What about it?
I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it and I didn't have a transition.
Well done.
Teenagers, high school, cool goth rogue, X-Men Evolution rules. The show takes place while many of the mutants are in high school. Not a mutant high school, just a normal high school. It allows for some great high school drama, some stupid fun romances, and eventually led to some awesome growth for many of our characters. I'm not sure if I saw this show at the perfect time or if it really was flawless, but it left an impact. Also, Nightcrawler is so great in this version.
Oh, you mean fun and lovable and not... I can't even think of a word to describe him. He left so little an impact.
Blue?
No, even that doesn't feel right.
He might be the best he's ever been represented in any of the series. Everyone stands out and feels authentic despite taking liberties from the source material. Also, the orange and black Wolverine suit is so slick.
You can't stop the Juggernaut. Forgive me for trying.
This is the most early 2000s show that you could ever watch. It should be put in a time capsule to show people in 1,000 years what this time period was like.
Oh, come on, it's not that. LimeWire guest starring on the OC isn't as 2000s as that.
I loved this show so much as a kid. I always wanted to be Rogue from the comics, but this goth Rogue took that want and made it a need. We also got that great Kitty Pryde Rogue dance gift from this show, so cheers to that, honestly.
Please, Josh Hartnett is gonna join Destiny's Child if there's any more 2000s.
It took what was an already amazing comic book adaptation and gave it a whole new spin. It's early 2000s, yes, but it also has stories and characters you can still relate to today. No matter what time period you grew up in, as long as you grew up, you'd find something relatable in X-Men Evolution.
Enough of this early 2000 stuff. I'm a history man myself.
No, you're not.
The history of 1998.
That's random. Also, no, you're not.
98 was only 2 years before the early 2000s.
That makes it even less history.
When this show made literal history. Yeah, Tamara. That's how you do a segue.
Damn it, you're right.
Hysteria was another Tom Ruegger-produced show. It was trying to be a sketch comedy series like what SNL is, but used to educate kids about history. Think if all the educational songs in Animaniacs had their own show. Once again, this was done to meet FCC requirements for shows to be educational, and to its credit, it is a noble attempt. There are a lot of great songs and clever ways they teach kids history, my personal favorite being a tour guide named Misinformation who, you guessed it, always gets her facts wrong. It had a good energy and good animation, but the problem was it didn't really have solid characters. Father Time was the host, who was just sort of a generic nice guy who sometimes lost his temper. There's a big fat baby, literally called Big Fat Baby, who, you guessed it, is just a gross big fat baby. And then there's the kid chorus, who usually just had one joke about each of them. The worst one being Loud Kiddington. Can you guess what his shtick is?
Hysteria! The War of 1812! Modius! Ipolius! Gnaeus! Junius!
How dare he steal your thing?
It's hard not to admire a show trying to teach something in a creative way, but with shows like Animaniacs or even Carmen Sandiego, the facts were taught better because they wrote for the characters first. They gave us stories and people we like to watch even if they weren't teaching us anything. I don't think I would be checking in on these characters anytime soon.
Sex Toys! September! October!
Oh, man. I will admit though, I think this is made for a much younger audience, and if I was a little kid, I'd probably get into all the funny voices and screaming.
Pretty good. I'm so hungry I could throw up twice.
It wasn't for me, but it was a noble attempt at a noble cause.
Hysteria! Hysteria!
Wait, didn't Tom Ruegger also work on Batman?
Yeah.
See, that's how you segue, Tim.
Wait, he didn't work on Superman, though.
Neither did you.
My life is over.
The new Batman-Superman Adventures was sometimes an hour, sometimes an hour and a half long programming block that started to air in 1997. They would schedule a combination of a Superman the Animated Series rerun, Batman the Animated Series rerun, and a fresher episode of either the new Batman Adventures or the third season of Superman. It's a bit complicated since this isn't actually the name of a separate series and the branding was used for Emmy nominations that pertain to both shows. The block did have its own unique intro that presented clips from each program merged with some original animation and a brand new theme from Shirley Walker. It's pretty good too. Bumpers, commercials, and even the end credits were specially made for this packaged time slot. The crossover episodes between Superman and Batman are more associated with this title, so let's quickly mention them. The only Batman episode that a Superman character showed up on was Girls' Night Out, where Supergirl teamed up with Batgirl to take down the consolidated threat of Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Livewire. I just reviewed it for Batmay, so check that out for more info. On the Superman series, Nighttime saw the Man of Steel disguise himself as the Dark Knight and team up with Robin after Bruce goes missing. A bunch of the Caped Crusaders villains get to make appearances, and we get to see Superman beat up Bane under Batman's cowl. It's a great moment. The best example of these crossovers is, of course, the world's finest three-parter that introduced Batman to Kal-El and saw Lex Luthor join forces with the Joker. A lot of people know it mainly under its home video release name, the Batman-Superman movie, but they are officially episodes of Superman TAS. It's some of the strongest stuff to come out of either show, and you should go out of your way to see it if you never have. Regardless of the somewhat confusing nature concerning this title, these two characters united for some notable adventures that would continue on for years to come. Ah, good times.
Well, I think it's time to take us out of the past and into more modern times with Static Shock.
What year do you think it is, Malcolm?
Static Shock was a gemstone among my favorite childhood cartoons. Created by the late Dwayne McDuffie with Dennis Cohen, it was the first original story with a black superhero as its protagonist to get its own animated series. Only took until 2000.
Hey, for white people, that's very fast for us.
This show was poignant in not only setting trends for BIPOC and POC representation in comic media, but it was among the first to take a more grounded, slice-of-life tone to contrast its superhero story. Voiced by one of my biggest inspirations, Phil Lamar.
Maybe we should put you on payroll, Static. Give me one of those shiny helmets and we'll call it even.
Virgil Hawkins is a high school teen who develops electromagnetic powers after his town suffers from the effects of fallout from a nearby chemical plant explosion called the Big Bang. In addition to the usual superhero tropes in learning responsibility, juggling aliases, and developing powers, Virgil takes on issues more focused around himself as a middle-class black teen in an urban environment. We get to see unique circumstances addressed, with the issues tackled from a more black perspective. We see topics in bigotry, neurodivergence, gang activity, police racial profiling, and more.
What your son heard, Hawkins. I wasn't talking about him.
No, you were talking about his kind, that's all. Well, I know your kind, Foley. Fine, upstanding bigot. The world changes and grows, and he's blind to it. Ignorant. And proud of that, too. Richie ran away from you a long time ago, Foley. And because of the way you are, you'll never really know him.
It's all woven together so well with its action and storytelling, I'd argue it set the trend for many comic properties hereafter. Yielding crossovers with Batman and the Justice League, Static cemented himself in the superhero zeitgeist. Let's hope we can continue to see more of Static Shock in the near future.
Someone say my name!
Well, seeing how we're back in the 2000s, let's talk about another show that came out around that time, Jackie Chan Adventures.
Wait, isn't that like the only one of these shows that Ayana's seen?
Oh, that's a good point. You think we should let her talk about it?
Well, it just so happens that I have a letter from her.
Oh, do tell.
Greetings. You may remember I gave my thoughts on Jackie Chan Adventures, the greatest show ever made, in our Toonami review. I honestly got everything out about it that I needed to say, so I have enclosed an edited video of those thoughts with clips from the show. Ayana Wade.
Oh, that was nice of her.
Yeah, let's see what she put together.
Jackie Chan Adventures! Okay, so Jackie Chan is this archaeologist, right? And he has to travel around the world and find these talismans. There's 12 of them, and they're based off of the zodiac signs, and then he's trying to keep them away and out of the hands of the evil people. They're called the Dark Hand. They're evil. They're working for this demon. His name is Shendu. He's the worst, and he's also trapped in a dragon statue because his regular form is a dragon, and he wants to get back to his regular form. Jackie Chan has to fight all of these bad guys. There's Easter eggs of his entire career throughout the show. It's incredible. After each episode, there's these children that write in and get to ask Jackie Chan questions, and then he answers them. It's amazing.
Dude, none of our videos were that cool.
I want to be Jackie Chan Adventures.
She had like explosions and stuff.
Heather, does your next one have explosions and stuff?
No.
Well, what do you have?
Shame!
A love poem in terrible French accent. Can you feel that sizzle? The summer is heating up and so are the savings with Summer Dash Pass from DoorDash. I love you, DoorDash, because you'll save me cash. That makes this officially a poem because it rhymes. I checked, I looked it up, don't check. Now through July 19th, you can save big on your favorite summer essentials or get groceries for your next summer barbecue right to your door with Dash Pass membership. Something about a flower. With Summer of Dash Pass, you'll enjoy $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees on all eligible orders, making it easier and more affordable than ever to stock up on all your favorite summertime essentials. Ewan McGregor as a candle. You'll also get access to thousands of offers nationwide, ensuring that this summer is one to remember. So kick back, relax, and let Dash Pass help you experience the best of your neighborhood for less. Moments later. Summer of Dash Pass is a once-a-year event you don't want to miss, thanks to the chance to get special access to members-only events. Whether you're into sports, music, or just great snacks, get ready to lower your costs and raise the bar this summer with limited edition drops and exclusive items to level up all season long. Your face is like the sky or something poetry. Experience a summer like no other. Best your best summer? What? Best your best summer with Dash Pass membership from DoorDash today. That is not a French accent misreading English, that is really what they had written here. Sign up for Dash Pass now and you'll get your first month free. Plus, when you use our promo code, get 50% off up to $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your next Dash Pass order. When you download the DoorDash app and enter the code MovieTimeSummer. That's 50% off when you spend $10 or more on the next Dash Pass order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code MovieTimeSummer. Don't forget code MovieTimeSummer for 50% off your next order. Subject to change, terms apply. French poetry time is over. Go and apologize to a French person somewhere. I don't know. DoorDash! Doug plays Jedi Survivor every Friday on Twitch. We also have content 5 days a week. Hope to see you there.
Trying to chase the high of Pokemon, Kids WB added the anime Card Captors to their lineup in June of 2000. Card Captors combined the monsters of Pokemon with the magical girl essence of Sailor Moon. A girl named Sakura accidentally releases magical cards called Cloud Cards into the world. The guardian of the cards, Kiro, is also released. He reveals that only someone with magical powers could open the book, which means Sakura has magic. She now must battle the personifications of the cards to seal them all back away into the book. The version of the show that was aired on Kids WB was...
Let me guess. Heavily edited?
No, they leave it alone.
Really?
Yes, they even have a class at the Home for Infinite Losers.
Okay, keep going, smartass.
In this instance, though, it wasn't as much a censorship issue. The original series was 70 episodes. The Kids WB edit was only 39 episodes. Episodes were rearranged and key plot points were omitted. That still didn't stop me, personally, from absolutely loving it. I loved this series so much. I spent a summer at 12 years old fan-dubbing the movie with my best friend at the time. She was Japanese, so she had a Japanese copy of the movie, translated a whole script, and we dubbed it together.
Really? And where is this embarrassing medium we can blackmail you?
Unfortunately, it's been lost to time.
Ah.
I truly wish I could share it with you all. Now all I have are my cloud cards to remember the great times I had with Sakura and her friends. Still, this show gave me great memories, great animation, and great characters I won't be forgetting for a long time.
Scooby-Doo, bitch! Pow! Now that's how you do a segue.
Yes, very good segue.
The ninth version of the beloved Scooby-Doo gang brings us What's New Scooby-Doo? A modernized version of the Mystery Inc. with slightly updated everything. The slang, tech, outfits, music, everything was updated from when Scooby-Doo Where Are You first aired in 1969. The theme song, performed by Simple Plan, dare I say, slaps!
I just can't believe that Scooby was the culprit all along.
Right, Amanda?
The series premiered in 2002 and ran for 3 seasons before ending in 2006, and overall is an incredibly well done and welcome addition to the world of Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is one of the cornerstone dogs of our childhood, along with Crypto the Super Dog and Air Bud, obviously. Despite what some anti-K-Knights think!
Dude, I'm good. I'm scared of you this episode.
Lasagna!
While this follow-up was not as full of little life lessons as the original was, it kept Scoob and the gang on the map and known by a younger audience. While some of the later Scooby-Doo iterations were less than stellar, this was a creative, true-to-form blast of a show. Also, anything that gives us the Hex Girls is a good thing. Hex Girls forever!
What's the Scooby-Doo? We're gonna follow you. We're gonna solve that mystery.
But who are they getting married to?
Mystery.
That weirdly checks out.
So, Tamra, now that you're so good at segues, could you maybe come up with one for Batman Beyond?
Yeah, just say you're doing Batman Beyond.
Oh, that works.
Batman Beyond, bitch! Wow!
Got one! The first 2 episodes of Batman Beyond, known as Batman of the Future outside the US, established a concept that became one of the strongest, most unique ideas this creative team ever conceived. It's crazy how this show was basically a mandate from the network that Bruce Timm and company had to pitch on the spot. For a short time period, they were finishing up Superman the Animated Series and the new Batman adventures, all while simultaneously rushing to get Batman Beyond off the ground for a 1999 premiere. Set decades in the future, the show followed a teenager named Terry McGinnis who discovers the secret of a now elderly Bruce Wayne and becomes the new Batman in a Gotham that looks very different. A couple decades before the main time period, Bruce retires after being forced to use a gun to threaten a criminal when his body fails him. It's an epic and heartbreaking start to possibly the late great Kevin Conroy's most impressive performance as Bruce Wayne. He believably sounded like a jaded old man who had more than his fair share of regrets. This evolution of the character is one of my personal favorites because it places him at a point in his life he probably never thought he'd reach. His relationship with Terry is a dynamic that's just as strong as with any of his sidekicks, but takes on a completely new connotation. As the series progressed across its 54 episodes, new characters and distinct villains pushed the overall legacy of Batman forward. Most of the creative decisions were excellent additions, considering we were seeing the bookend to a continuity with so much history behind it. Now, not everything worked. The romantic relationship between Bruce and Barbara has aged like cheese, but pretty much everything else has held up exceedingly well. Comics, the Batman 75th anniversary short, and a phenomenal animated movie have done a lot to display this show's staying power. There have been rumblings of a live-action adaptation as far back as the early 2000s, and as recently as last year, with Michael Keaton coming back to reprise Bruce. A new animated film has even been rumored. Time will tell if any of that really happens, but the fact remains, Batman Beyond is a once-and-future classic. Plus, it stars Will Friedle. How could it not be good?
You know, it's amazing. In one short day, I managed to earn the socially challenged rep that took me a lifetime to cultivate back home.
God, I love that show. Have you ever thought about doing it for Bat May? Wait, it could be called Bat May Beyond.
Ooh, and then after that you can talk about the 2004 series.
Yeah, and I know you like Brave and the Bold. You should do that one too.
Beware the Batman is strange. Talk about it, Walter.
No, but serious.
Bat May.
It's been Cat
It's like
May.
that nice
It's not.
I mean, if you ever thought about doing Bat May and this is
Ozzy and Drix was a show based on the box office laws. Ozzy and Drix continues the stories of Osmosis Jones and Drix, who are this time in the body of a boy named Hector, rather than a dying Bill Murray.
Do you mean comedically or physically?
Yes. For a show coming off of a major motion picture bomb, I have to admit, this series is much better than it has any right to be. Okay, it's not great, but the voice actors capture the charm of the original actors.
Knife flashing before eyes. Sorry, man, can't help it. Gotta go, 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 go.
The budget for this type of show seems put to good use, and it actually does teach you a little bit about the human body. I think two big advantages the show had was, one, getting rid of the live action segments with Murray, which still feels weird to say. Them angels and elephants really threw him off course. And two, it got legendary producer Alan Burnett on board. Yes, that Alan Burnett. About as much effort as you can put into an idea like this was appropriately applied. And they really did make this world interesting in a unique way that evolved the creativity of the original. I don't know, I really thought I was gonna hate this, and I thought it was alright. I guess that's not a glowing recommendation, but if you've seen some of the worst moments in the movie, you know it's still pretty damn impressive.
Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2001, Kids WB continued to cash in on the Pokemon craze with an anime called Yu-Gi-Oh! Spelled with an exclamation point. That's very important. Yu-Gi-Oh! Centered around a boy named Yugi who plays an in-universe card game called Duel Monsters. Duel Monsters, to simplify, is kind of like Magic the Gathering and the Pokemon trading card game combined.
So the worst of both worlds.
You can go to hell!
Okay, thank you!
To hell!
Thank you!
Yugi also owns a special artifact called the Millennium Puzzle, which he solved. The puzzle contains the spirit of an old Egyptian pharaoh that becomes Yugi's alter ego. After defeating the best duel monster player in the world, Seto Kaiba, Yugi goes on a quest to solve the mystery behind the Millennium Puzzle and the power it holds. On the way, he encounters other Millennium items and of course plays a ton of duel monsters. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was almost presented as a more grown-up Pokemon. The card game felt more complicated. It felt more action-packed with higher stakes and a darker tone. This anime was also licensed by 4Kids and similar to Pokemon underwent some heavy editing. As a kid, the editing here was more evident, with invisible guns and talk of sending people to the Shadow Realm instead of death threats. Even though many people did compare it to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a unique style and concept. The anime of course had a card game that I obviously played too. I was drawn to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it felt deeper and more complex than any of the other monster animes I had enjoyed before, such as Pokemon, Monster Rancher, and even Digimon. It didn't hurt either that I had a huge crush on Seto Kaiba. Broody anime boys were my type in middle school.
Ooh. Oh god, he is dreamy.
The series may not have left as much impact culturally as Pokemon, but it was endearing and entertaining to many who felt they were starting to outgrow Pokemon. And though not as big, it still has a massive following all these years later. And for good reason.
Oh, it's cool. The next one's Baby Looney Tunes, and clearly none of us have watched that.
You know what? Don't judge me.
We are.
But don't.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
Okay, hear me out. Baby Looney Tunes asks the brave question, hey, what if the Looney Tunes were babies?
You know, I can stick my fist up all your asses and use you as puppets.
The premise is so simple and sounds so boring, but there was something outrageously fun about this show. The babies live with Granny in her mansion, wow, lucky, and spend their days playing and pretending. Also, it's Looney Tunes, so there are pie throws and physical comedy. Baby Looney Tunes focused on real-world problems that children could relate to, such as sharing and understanding emotions and playing with others. Okay, they're very simple, but they're taught in the most adorable way. It's impossible not to get involved in their tiny little stories. Lasting for 4 seasons and even getting a movie, Baby Looney Tunes was a somewhat formulaic show that made it easy to watch, always had a lesson to learn, and had better writing than it probably had any right to. Though on the list of theme songs, this one is dead last.
It's a loonyful day to have a little fun the Baby Looney Tunes way.
I don't know, Tamara. I think your brain's coming in dead last.
Yeah, what's next? The show about baby Damon Wayans?
Okay, going back a little bit to 1996, Wanehead was another short-lived animated original on the Kids WB lineup. The story is a retelling of Damon Wayans' childhood in the Chelsea neighborhood of the New York City borough of Manhattan. It features the voices of the Wayans brothers, John Witherspoon, Gary Coleman, Frank Welker, and then rising child star Orlando Brown as the lead, Damie Wayne. Despite a recognized and respected cast, the show saw low ratings and ended prematurely. Each episode featured the comedic spirits of the Wayans family, but with the TV-wide rating, their talents were severely undercut. And looking at the credited writers on the show, it looks like the Wayans were more so referenced rather than doing any writing themselves. And it shows, unfortunately. I wanted to like this show more. Even my parents were excited for when this show came out, but it couldn't hold my attention or anyone else's, sadly. It'd be nice to have this project re-envisioned with Damon Wayans more involved in the show's writing. But as it stands, it'll be remembered as that one Wayans Bros cartoon. The idea was kinda cool, but the execution, not so much.
Speaking of Batman Beyond...
We in no way were.
Quiet! Brilliant segue coming. Let's take a look at another spin-off.
What'd I do?!
It's the DCAU show that nobody remembers, the Zeta Project. Spinning off of the Season 2 Batman Beyond episode Zeta, this series followed a tactical synthoid built for the National Security Agency to impersonate enemies of the state and kill them for gaining information. Eventually, Infiltration Unit Zeta grows a conscience and refuses to carry out his ordered executions. Thus, he becomes a fugitive and goes on the run, picking up a young friend named Ro along the way. Together, they try to find Zeta's original creator in hopes of uncovering the answers to his growing sense of morality and prove his innocence to the NSA, who thinks terrorists have reprogrammed him to be a danger to the populace. DCAU writer Robert Goodman pitched the show to Kids WB as a version of the 1960s TV series The Fugitive with a runaway robot. He was at first hoping to make it even darker than Batman Beyond and explore deeper themes. While the network ordered the series, they saw it as a way of drawing a younger demographic. Problem was, catering just to 6 to 11-year-olds was not what Goodman wanted for his show. This led to clashes between the showrunner and the network that eventually led to this series ending after 2 seasons. The final episode finished off on an unresolved cliffhanger, but in the decade since, Goodman has tried getting a new version of the series off the ground, with the latest attempt coming in the form of a potential live-action drama. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even know the Zeta Project existed until well after Kids WB was dead and gone. I knew that Zeta came back to Batman Beyond in Season 3's Countdown with a new look and Ro at his side, but I had no idea that he had his own show. So I did some background research in addition to watching a few installments. From what I saw, the series wasn't bad. I could see what the show wanted to be peeking through the network's mandatorily bright surface. I was always planning on watching it to complete my DCAU viewing experience, but now I'm not as worried about being bored the entire time. Don't get me wrong, the animation and music aren't very good, a clear downgrade from most shows in the same universe, but there is a charm that's apparent in the little I saw. We'll call this a pleasant surprise. I definitely want to hear if any of you remember watching this show when it aired. What did you think of it back then? As for the here and now, the Zeta Project will likely continue to remain in general obscurity.
Speaking of good hero stories, let's talk about the Batman.
Not like baby Batman?
Or Batman's dog or something?
Those stories will be told at a different time. In this review.
Oh.
The Batman is an underrated, hopeful version of the Dark Knight with a unique style of his own. Being the first animated Batman story after Batman Animated Series universe, this show had big bat boots to fill. It follows the story of Batman as we know him and follows canon character arcs and things like that, but it also does a great job of building lore unique to itself. This version of Bruce Wayne comes to us only a few years into being the Batman. He has a more hopeful outlook and wants to have a life outside of being the Batman. He meets villains for the first time, and by the end of the show's 5 seasons, his character arc has led him closer to his gruff older self. The villains in this show especially shine. Mr. Freeze is so cool with his ice head. Maybe my favorite iteration of the Riddler. Clayface? Incredibly told story that I haven't seen in years and I remember so vividly to this day. Hot take, but maybe one of the best Jokers ever. Kevin Michael Richardson is a wildly underrated Joker. His Joker's so scary, so yucky. The huge orange teeth, the green wild hair, the scary huge red eyes. He's such an interesting and uncomfortable character to look at, and it's awesome!
I don't share your sense of humor.
Yet we're linked, you and I, like comedy and tragedy. 2 sides, same coin.
Also, I will be cosplaying this version of Catwoman one day. I will!
Is she the owl guy from Watchmen now?
She is everything and you are nothing.
No, really, what did we do to you?
For a character that has so many interpretations, this is one of the most underappreciated. It needs more love, more discussion, and more time in the Bat spotlight.
Don't worry, the Looney Tunes will pick up where this dark, edgy story left off.
Right?
I wish I wasn't. Released in 2005, Lunatics Unleashed is a futuristic action series set in a post-apocalyptic world, and the Looney Tunes are the main characters. You see, a meteorite hits the city of Acmetropolis.
A meteor strikes the city planet of Acmetropolis.
I gotta give the narrator credit, I wouldn't be able to say that name without laughing. And admit it, you can't hear it without laughing. And it gives our team protagonists, because of course they're teens, superpowers. Their leader, Sadavia, even as made-up names go, doesn't that sound like the most made-up name? Summons them to stop all the forces of evil from harming the city, and of course, making a few zingers here and there. People hated this show even before it came out. Their reveal got petitions going. Apparently the VP of Creative Affairs always pointed to them as what not to do when designing characters. And I will say, as bad as the show is, yeah, okay, I'll say it. It could have been worse. I mean, yes, this is a dead idea from the start, but the animation is nice, some of the voice acting is enjoyable, the imagination, I mean, you have to be imaginative to come up with something this crazy. It's not the worst, but I think it's pretty clear most Looney Tunes fans are not gonna enjoy it. You just can't get past the idea of it. It's like that new Warriors comic they were gonna release years ago. Even if it somehow got the best writing you've seen in a while, you're just not gonna be able to see past this concept. There's worse out there, but that doesn't make it good.
How about something that was meant to be funny?
Well, I think it was... I don't know what it was supposed to be. Yeah, funny would be nice.
Mucha Lucha entered the ring of Kids WB on August 17th, 2002. The premise is pretty simple. It's about 3 friends, Ricochet, Buena Girl, and the Flea, who are students at the foremost, world-renowned International School of Lucha! This world uses Mandalorian rules, so no one takes their masks off.
Ah, Mandalorian logic.
People also highly value and hone their signature wrestling moves. The show was fast-paced and funny, with a lot of style and laughs. By the time this show was premiering, I was in high school, but I was still drawn to watching it with my little brothers because it was so engaging. It also holds the honor of being one of the first broadcast animated television shows to be fully animated in Adobe Flash.
Whoa. Actually...
It totally shows.
It totally shows, but it's still interesting.
Although it was considered a hit by the network, it was never quite as popular as it should have been. This gem holds a little masked place in my heart. It's a very strange but memorable step inside the ring.
Okay, it looks like we have only one show left that one of us saw, and it's...
Crypto the Superdog, the superior follow-up to NFT the Cat, was released in 2006 and has the catchiest theme song ever made. I heard it once as a kid, and that's all it took. It has never left my brain. I am humming it to myself as I read this. If you know, you know.
Catchiest song? Really?
Are you sure they weren't just making it up as they go along?
That is something that an anti!
Yeah, very scary. Just keep going.
Crypto is a superdog and a good boy who traveled on an interstellar ship from Krypton. He lands on Earth and is adopted by Kevin Whitney, a 9-year-old boy, and his family. Superman knows that his dog is with the Whitneys, but says he's too busy to take care of him and lets Kevin hold on to him. Which is majorly effed up if you think about it. Really makes you think what kind of a dog owner Superman was.
Yeah, seriously, he couldn't show cryptocurrency? I know.
Crypto poses as an ordinary dog while living with Kevin's family, but adopts the secret identity of Crypto the Superdog for his super dog stuff. He has many other super animal friends and foes, like Joker's pet hyenas and Catwoman's pet cat. While this show only lasted for 2 seasons, it was a cute and easy watch. Now, I want a whole show talking about Hawkgirl and her pet pigeons, but until then, this is an adorable show to check out.
In 2006, the WB network merged with UPN to create the CW. While Kids WB technically survived a little longer, it didn't make much sense to have something called Kids WB on a channel not even called WB. In 2008, Kids WB officially shut down. Even the frog took a bow when the writing was on the wall. It eventually became CW for Kids, which was later replaced by Toonzai, which was later replaced by Vortex. In 2008, it was relaunched as an online network with 5 sub-channels. It just wasn't the same.
Kids WB was similar to other kids programming at the time, but it had a style and a feel that was all its own.
It allowed both old and new ideas to grow and become something that would leave an impact on several generations.
Whether meant for younger kids, teens, and even some adults, it seemed like there was something valuable for everyone in this lineup.
People still look fondly on it years later and continue to talk about the shows and characters that'll continue to live on in people's imaginations.
It was something we were all lucky to experience, and we thank all the artists and storytellers who worked their asses off to bring it to us. You all truly knew how to keep the party going. I'm the Nostalgia Critic, I remember. I'm sorry, we're really goddamn tired. We're still doing cameos for charity, and this month, we're doing Lurie Children's Hospital. They understand that caring for kids takes more than medicine. From diagnosis to treatment, it requires compassion and understanding that kids do best when they get to be kids. With a team of world-renowned pediatric experts and kid-friendly care, there's a reason they're ranked #1 children's hospital in Illinois. So if you want a cameo of me saying happy birthday or good luck or whatever, click on the link below and be giving to a good cause. If you're like, no, I hate you and everything there is to hate about you, well, check out this wonderful place anyway. The great people that do great work, and you can help them in a great way.